Hey awesome friends, I am Awesome Danny. Welcome back to the channel. Today I got this for you. So this was sent out by HiFiGo for review. They didn't ask that I say anything in particular. They just asked that I give it an honest review, and that's what we're here to do. So the for you is a dual chamber DMT or LCP dynamic driver set. Man, look at this guy. Fancy guy. Dual chamber. This guy over here with this 2-bedroom apartment, while all the other dynamic drivers got single bedroom. It's got to be expensive, right? Well, it is what I would consider on the pricier side for a single dynamic driver set. A lot of you guys that know me that I am a certified single dynamic driver hater. For you guys that don't know me, I am kidding. It is a hobby. Take it lightheartedly. Have fun. Or go ahead and rage in the comments if you want. I guess it doesn't matter either way. So back to the for you. 69 nice 99 USD. What do you get for the 70 bucks that you pay for this? Well, the unboxing overall is amazing actually for this price. This set made a very good impression on me, and that was after having this for a while. The origin unboxing overall, the way it was put together, the cohesiveness of the package, which is something I'm really big on. I want the product to feel like it was made as a singular product, not just a bunch of pieces thrown together into a box after they finished the IEM. Well, you get that here. Very similar to the origin. Everything feels like it was made for this. Everything in this box belongs together. It is a set. So very pleasant unboxing. Very good accessories, both in quantity and quality. You get the IEMs themselves, which are built very, very well. You get a nice cable that it's really soft and light. It feels like decent quality. It's got that gooey texture that I like, where it's soft, but it's not sticky or grippy, but very, pliable. Very nice cable. You get a little generic pouch. I guess that's the low end of the accessories. It's just a nice little Tanchjim pouch that does the job. You get 2 sets of ear tips, and these ear tips look generic. Like, they look plain translucent colored ear tips, wide bore and I guess normal or more narrow bore, but they actually feel really nice, and that's what I ended up sticking with the whole time I was using this. They're very dense, and they got, I know I use that word a lot, that ooey gooey kind of texture. I like ear tips that are dense but still like squishy, because they make for a good seal. They're not too firm and not too soft, but very comfortable overall. And you get a tuning tool. Yes, this thing has a switch, I guess technically 4 different modes, but 1 switch. And oh man, I hate sets with switches, but I think the way it was done on this set, it's actually okay. It was nice. Even the tuning tool is metal. Like, it's a nice little singular metal piece, and it says for you on the little tuning tool. I think it says Tanchjim for you. It's like they even etched the name of the set onto the tuning tool, and it's a metal one. I kind of wish that the tuning tool was plastic, just because the tuning switch is plastic, and I feel like if you don't take the time to properly insert the tool before you rotate it, or if it slips a little while you're rotating, you can damage the switch, because it is a soft plastic. So keep that in mind. So I believe most people aren't going to be, flipping the switch very often. I mostly only use 2 modes myself. All 4 modes are pretty distinct from each other, but I feel like most people are just going to find the one that they enjoy the most and stick to that one. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the shell for a little bit. Shell is small ear approved. My wife fit it very, very easily, and she's got tiny ears because she's tiny, or maybe I'm just big, or maybe both, or maybe I'm just fat, but I'm also big, but she's also tiny. Anyways, this set is very comfortable, super small. Find the right ear tips, and it just kind of disappears in your ears. It was great. And like I mentioned before, the cable is super soft. That's including the ear hooks. They have good form, but they're not super stiff, so they adjust very easily. They just, comfort, quality, feel of everything in this box is just top tier for the price. before I even put on the IMs, before I listened to them, before any sound impressions, I was pretty impressed with this set. It's just, again, looks great. It has a, you know, that classic Tanchjim kind of vibe to it, where it's like very clean, sterile, almost clinical, kind of like something that, you know, a nurse or a doctor would use in like the future to, I don't know, whatever nurses and doctors do. I mean, I should know what nurses do. My wife is a nurse. Please don't tell her that I said that. But it's got that vibe, you know. It's great, very well built, and super cohesive. Everything fit together. Really on brand for Tanchjim. So let's go ahead and get into some sound impressions. Let's start off with some graph sniffing. Here we go. Let's take some sniffs right here. So I ended up using the top two profiles, the ones with the most bass, the two with the most bass. I am going to go over the set with the default tuning, which is the highest bass, then also compared to the second option, which had the second most bass. So overall, the sound signature is clean. It's a little restrained, but it is very clean and punchy. There's a lot of good note weight on this set, and it just feels correct and a little bit effortless, but there is some drawbacks, and we'll go ahead and get into that. So like I mentioned, it is a very punchy set. Bass is very clean. It has decent impact. It's right in between in the mid bass, where that impact and that front end of the bass is hard and punchy, and then soft and pillowy. It's in between. There is a good amount of initial impact, but slightly rounded and slightly dampened. It's not a bad thing. It actually is really nice. It's that, for me, perfect balance in between. But also, unfortunately, the bass presentation is pretty much all front end, since the sub bass doesn't rumble as much. There is a good presence there. It is on the neutral end of quantity, but the texture within that sub bass isn't very deep. The ripples within the sub bass are kind of really tight, so you get the vibration, you get that resonance, but it's just not as deeply textured as I would like. And it does tend to feel like, again, on the neutral side, sometimes even on the lower end. Some songs that have a lot of sub bass feel like they hit really hard. The initial impact, like there was two tracks on Blackpink's Blackpink the album. Yeah, that one. It was Pretty Savage and Ice Cream. Those two tracks have some really good bass on a lot of sets that end up being too overly punchy in front end. When you listen to those tracks, you get that initial impact, but then you're left wanting after. So all that rumble and stuff that's supposed to be in the background enveloping you just kind of trails off, but you still get that solid thump in the beginning. It's really nice. Just makes for a cleaner presentation, in my opinion, similar to how the Q5 did it, where it gave you that little bit of initial thump, but then not much rumble. So overall, this set, like I mentioned, has a good amount of mid bass, and the mid bass feels really nice, and it translates into the rest of the sound signature, gives it a lot of note weight, gives the entire frequency response a good amount of body. Notes are adequate, you know, instruments, vocals have good body. They feel correct. They don't feel too thin. They don't feel too lush. They're in a good middle ground. Like I mentioned, for the mids, good substance there. Overall, end up being a little bit restrained. When you go into the upper mids, there's a little bit of gain, but overall, they just are kind of there, full bodied, not too sharp. They don't cut through as much. And again, keep this in mind. This is with the most bass option. I'll go over the second option that I used after. And then when you get into the treble, it was a little tricky here, because first impression feels sparkly, but it turns out overall the treble is actually quite restrained, but there is a little bit of sing in a spot. It feels like there's a spike. If you looked at the graph, you can tell that there's a spike around 14K. There also might be a little bit around the 8K point, because I did try to EQ those down and it felt smoother. But yeah, there's just a little bit of zing somewhere, and it really cuts through. There's just sometimes little treble notes that just come through. They just cut right through the rest of the frequency response. Some songs really emphasize that, so it made them sound a little bit too sharp, but Most stuff, like I mentioned, just slightly restrained, a little subdued where it could have used a little bit more, just a little bit more boost to really bring it out, bring it to life. It wasn't as lively overall as I would like. So going into the second option, which is the second most amount of bass, it basically just cleaned it up a little bit more, took a little bit more of the sub bass away, and just made it sound a little bit more balanced. It was probably the cleanest and most balanced signature out of the four. Might be a good starting point if you end up picking up the set. Start right there and see how you like it, and then see if you want to take away some bass, Obi, or add some more. The most bass option was just the most fun for me, especially with my library. But that second most just really cleans things up further and really allows the set to show its very balanced tuning and the driver capabilities, because this driver is actually really good. It did a great job, which brings me to the technicality. So overall, the set, like I mentioned, the driver is very capable. It felt quick, it felt peppy, it felt like it was able to keep things separated well. The set felt very detailed. I mean, especially for it being like a single dynamic set, it definitely felt more detailed than the average set at this price point. Stage also felt a little bit more expanded on the lower bass option of the two that I used. So that goes into the whole just cleaning things up, adding more space, more room within the frequency response, since the higher bass option sometimes came in and clouded a little bit. So it would, invade the rest of the frequency response just a little bit. But like I mentioned, it was just a lot more fun. So I really enjoyed that. Timbre overall sounded kind of neutral, except maybe a little bit dark. Like I mentioned before, since the treble was kind of restrained, sometimes vocals didn't shine as much as I would like them to, or some of the bitey instruments like electric guitars or trumpets just would get slightly muted. And the same with cymbals, depending on where they were hitting. Because remember, there is that little bit of zing in the upper air, but it was just a bit too subdued for me. I would have really liked it if it just had a little bit more energy there. That would probably be like one of my only nitpicks. So I really like this set. And now we're going to compare, and we're going to compare it to the Aria 2. Yes, Moondrop Aria 2, single dynamic driver set that is a little bit more expensive than this set by what, 20 or 30 bucks? That's actually a lot more expensive, but either way, that was the set that came to mind the most often when I was listening to the 4U. Technicalities on both of them are pretty even. Overall, Aria felt a little bit fuzzier, just in general, that more soft analog type feel in the sound presentation. Didn't sound as clean as a 4U, but bass just felt a lot more satisfying, and everything else just felt a little bit more refined. As far as the packaging and the accessories go, it's pretty much a tie. Both sets are very well equipped, both sets feel cohesive, and both sets are built very well. I'm assuming Aria 2 has paint chip issues, so that's something I guess you might want to consider. 4U isn't painted. I mean, as far as I can tell, it just looks like it's straight metal. No worries there. If you want something a little bit more musical, I would go with the Aria 2. If you want something maybe a little bit cleaner, a little bit more neutral, I would go with the 4U. Or should I say, it's the 4U 4U. So that's it, team. Tanchjim 4U. What is the rec rating for the set? Well, that is an easy 3. 70 bucks for this package with pretty stellar performance for this price point and the versatility of the bass switches. This set's really good. I give it a solid 3. And I mean, with sales going on recently, if you keep an eye out, you might be able to snag it for even cheaper. I think it was on sale when I last checked. But even then, like I said, 70 bucks for a clean, very sophisticated and mature set like this, awesome. So keep an eye out for it. Go check out a demo. If you've tried it already, let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure that you consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy the content. Really helps out the feel good chemicals in the brain. And that's it, guys. I am Awesome Danny, and until next time, you stay awesome, friends. Bye.